Right now at 5, a major rainstorm is fast approaching SoCal, bringing widespread warnings of potential flooding, mudslides, and landslides.
And the race is on to protect residents in the burn zones who are most in danger of possible flash floods and debris flows.
I'm Mike Rogers with the deaths. Evacuation warnings are up in LA and Orange counties. I'll show you if your neighborhood is impacted ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Pat Harvey.
And I'm Juan Fernandez.
And we begin with meteorologist Evelyn Taft. She's tracking that potentially dangerous round of rain in our next weather.
Evelyn, where do things stand right now?
At this point, we're looking at just light rain, but we are expecting heavy rain and the potential for flash flooding as soon as tomorrow afternoon, Pat and Juan. So as we get a look at satellite radar right now, we're looking at mist and just light showers. That's really been sort of the drill all day today. We're continuing to see the rain move in as we move into the next few hours, but intensify as we move into tomorrow. The soaking rain starts to develop overnight in the early morning hours, and then it gets especially heavy in the afternoon and evening tomorrow. The highest flood concern from 4 p.m. through 4 a.m. Friday. But at this point, that window looks even smaller. I would say 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. is when we especially should be concerned. Now, take a look at your futurecast right here. It's set for 11:30 tonight. Still looking at relatively light rain, but it's getting a lot heavier, and we're going to take you through the rest of futurecast in your next weather forecast coming up in just a little bit. Pat, Juan, back to you.
All right, see you then, Ev. And we have live team coverage from the wildfire burn scars, beginning with KCAL's Jeff Nguyen. He's in the Eaton fire zone. Jeff?
Pat and Juan, the K-rails are up, and right behind us, a green mixture has been sprayed on parts of this barren hillside to help with stabilization. And as the rain starts to, or as we prepare for the rain, an evacuation warning is in place. The Eaton fire destroyed Kanoka Oxbury's home next to this hillside that's been left barren, which is why her street is part of an evacuation warning.
My architect wanted to get here before the rains.
Light rain fell Wednesday, but Mosley is worried about more rain bringing down loose soil on this steep, fire-scarred hillside.
There was an urgency just because we weren't sure if we were going to have access to this because we were worried about the landslides.
The LA County Sheriff's Department says deputies issued evacuation warnings Tuesday night after the Department of Public Works identified 88 homes that could be at risk.
This rain event, it does present a higher risk to our residents, particularly those that are living within the burn scar areas, not only Palisades and Eaton fire area, but any burn scar area within the last year.
The county had been up here and had put these sandbags in place in my absence.
This homeowner says workers shored up her hillside home during the last round of rain because she was out of town. Local leaders say previous problems with the emergency alert system have been fixed and extra help is being brought in.
So I think both are needed, the old-fashioned approach and the technologies.
We have additional personnel ready to assist in the affected burn areas.
On this hillside above Loma Alta Drive, a green spray called hydroseeding is being used to help accelerate the regrowth of vegetation on the slope.
It's going to take several years for it to stabilize.
Architects, engineers, everyone's been working together, I think, to try to help people rebuild, and I think there's a concerted effort to try to get people to rebuild.
Sheriff Luna reminds people who are in the evacuation zones to be prepared to be away from their homes for several days because at this point it is unclear when it will be safe for them to return. We're live in Altadena. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL News.
Jeff, thank you. People living in the Palisades fire burn area are facing the very same problem. Homeowners are doing everything they can to protect their homes.
And KCAL's Luzdelia Caballero is live in Pacific Palisades with more on what residents are most concerned about. Luzdelia.
And you know what? Residents feel like they just can't seem to catch a break. First with the fire, now with the rain, and again with the very familiar but all too unpleasant feeling of not knowing what is going to come, just knowing they have to be ready to go and be ready for anything in a moment's notice. The first round of rain leaving its mark in Pacific Palisades. Debris starting to spill onto roads and the runoff anything but clear. And while the rain wasn't coming down too hard, it was enough to leave residents with homes still standing on edge.
In the Palisades, of course, there are many types of homes that are on severe slopes, and that could be a big problem for them.
John Carr and his wife Chiaki tell us that isn't their only concern.
The flooding, a lot of the channels are clogged up with the debris and so forth.
He's going to stay in the house and fight the fire. Yeah.
Chiaki is a flight attendant and says she was on a plane headed to Tokyo when the Palisades fire broke out.
Every time I come here, it's very difficult to deal with the fact the house is gone, the neighbor's gone.
Thankfully, John was able to help save his home and his neighbor's properties, but he says he can't stop mudslides.
A lot of the houses, without the vegetation around them that have burned off, could slide down the hill very easily.
Though he says his neighbors have done everything they can to prepare.
Notice that quite a few neighbors have put sandbags across their driveways and so forth to prevent the water from gaining speed and causing a big drainage issue.
Phase 2 of private property debris removal has also started in this area with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
We're going to move as fast as we can based on the capacity of landfills, the capacity of routes.
Caltrans has also put K-rails and sandbags along PCH to hold any mud flow to protect homes in front of steep slopes.
I never dreamt in my whole life I would see such utter, complete devastation.
And due to all the rain, the Los Angeles Fire Department has announced evacuation warnings that'll take effect at 7 a.m. Thursday for areas near recent burn areas. The warnings will impact the Palisades fire area to include the Getty Villa area, Highlands near the burn areas, Bienvenida area near Temescal Canyon Park, Reseda Boulevard area, Marinette Road near Will Rogers State Park, and Mandeville Canyon above Tanner's Road. And also here on PCH, there will be crews working for the next 24 hours to make sure to clear all of the debris on the road due to runoff and also due to anything that's coming down from the hillsides. Reporting live on PCH, Luzdelia, Caballero, KCAL News.
Luzdelia, thank you. Let's bring in KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk.
And Mike, you're hearing about evacuation warnings in other parts of the city, even another county.
Yeah, that's right. So we're talking about the areas that Luzdelia was in. She just mentioned them, but there's also evacuation warnings for the other fires that happened during that same kind of time period in January. I want to jump into my computer here because I want to start with where Luzdelia was talking about. Everything that is in yellow and purple, those are the evacuation warnings for the fire. This is the Mandeville Canyon area. And you remember during the fires, it burned right up against those homes. So those hillsides that really go right into the Mandeville Canyon area are scarred right now. The purple areas as well further down here. But don't forget, we have that Sunset Fire. Remember the one at Runyon Canyon? There's now voluntary evacuation warnings for this area as well, basically just to the west and the south of where the fire burned. So you have some of these homes right here that are under voluntary evacuations. I also want to show you up near the Hearst Fire. There's a very, very specific area up here, and it's actually really just a chunk of houses, maybe 6 or so houses where they're worried some of the rain may come off of the hillside right here and down into those homes. So they've issued evacuation warnings for there. And then I'll also take you over to Orange County because there are evacuations in Orange County as well. Bell Canyon, Long Canyon, Trabuco Canyon, Majeska Canyon. Now, some of these areas are areas that always get evacuated because of recent fires, not even necessarily this year, but we did have, remember the fires that burned through there earlier in the 2024. So I can tell you the people in that area generally don't usually like to evacuate. We go down there when we have these evacuation warnings. We send crews down there. The people down there don't generally evacuate, which is obviously not the guidance that local officials are telling you. Right now, everything is a warning. The ones up in LA that I told you about, they go into effect tomorrow at 7 a.m. and will be in place until at least 2 p.m. on Friday. Of course, conditions can change that, but we'll keep an eye on it right here at the desk.